Welcome to myGSPN Sports Talk, Episode 3. Today we'd like to talk about the state of sports in America, kind of where they're headed, where I think they're headed, what's the important things to keep an eye out on, and, what's kind of fading away. So let's jump into it with, I start with basketball in a lot of situations, but I feel like basketball is the top sport in America right now. It hasn't always been that way. Baseball was, our favorite pastime for the longest. Teams like the Yankees and the Boston Red Sox and, the great teams, the Dodgers, the Giants, they have been staples, not only in baseball, but in the culture of sports for America. And it's, it was the top sport. Also, football for a while, the NFL was the top sport. But right now, with the wave of not only like the cultural movement, but younger kids these days, it is basketball. They're going up playing AAU. They're able to play competitive basketball on organized teams year-round now. They can go from their middle school team or their high school team to their AAU team, and, they don't miss a beat. So, that's why I say basketball is taking over. The NBA throughout the year is watched more than any other sport. Also, they've got 82 games per team, so it's a lot more TV time for those sports instead of like the NFL, who just play on a Sunday night or a Monday or Thursday. And even on those Mondays and Thursdays, at max, you may have 2 different games going on, but it's usually just one team that week. Baseball plays a lot of games, but they're not on TV as much as we are, and I say we as basketball because I am a basketball player. But baseball is a great sport. It was a better sport in my opinion, but right now basketball takes the cake as our nation's top sport. Football right now I feel is right after that, but football I think is in a very troubling time, and I'll let you know why. Kids do not play the competitive Pop Warner football at the level that they used to. Even when I was growing up, you would have 50 kids on a Pop Warner, just one of the teams, on a Mighty Mite team, a midget team, whatever, the different levels were throughout Pop Warner. And now, a lot of parents aren't letting their kids play football because of the injuries and the head issues. They can play flag football, but that tackle football kids aren't getting into until they get into high school nowadays. That just eliminates a lot of kids that would play it and, grow up playing it. Now they just start playing it when they get to high school. The tackle versions of it. They play with their friends in the backyard. You play flag football, but it's not the same as that contact collision of an actual football game. But it's so dangerous for players, and we're seeing more and more now with the head injuries and the concussions, and we're really getting a lot of our data and understanding that hitting another human that's another giant wall at 250 pounds as fast as you can, that's not the best thing for your body. The next sport on my list is baseball. We've talked about baseball a little bit already in regards to it has a lot of games. It's probably the best on your body as far as, the wear and tear, but you're constantly out there, running, moving, hitting a ball, which, I think is the most difficult thing to do in sports. The problem we have with baseball is it's so slow. And, kids with the attention spans they have, video games and everything iPads, cell phones, they could contribute to the kids not having the attention span nowadays, but the baseball games take so long and they're so slow that a lot of kids that I've talked to, and again, my opinion is, the game just moves too slow to keep the interest of the kids today in 2018. That's my biggest issue with baseball. When I watch it, it just moves too slow. Going to games is a little bit better than watching them on TV, but even then, it's 9 innings. It's really just up to the discretion of how well the pitching's going, how well the batting's going. They've had this thing about saving baseball, and you never want to see a sport go, especially a sport as important to America as baseball has been. But I don't see it remaining, in that top echelon of sports like basketball. As we said, football in a couple years, 20 maybe, I could see football, being gone and there be no more NFL, some 7-on-7, some flag football stuff. But the NFL, just because of the injuries and the concussions, I can see that, continuing to be boycotted by parents so their children don't grow up playing it. And, it eventually whittles away. I know that's not going to be a popular opinion with a lot of people. My future father-in-law actually played in the NFL, and he doesn't agree with that. But that's a football mindset. That's a guy who, football is his sport. You can't say anything bad about it. And, as a basketball player, you really can't say anything bad about basketball to me. So I understand where he's coming from. The injuries just really concern me, and with the statistics and what I've seen happening in Pop Warner recently over the past couple years, that the concussions have come out. And even if you look at high schools, they're having less and less kids try out, less and less players, because they don't want to, their future bodies, they don't want to go through those struggles, especially if they know they're not going to make it to the collegiate level. They know they're not going to make it to the professional level. They don't even put their bodies through any of the trouble and won't even play. Now, the sport, in my opinion, that is going to take over and be the second biggest sport in the U.S. is going to be the MLS, and which is the Major League Soccer. They've got a lot of teams, and there's talk about expanding into more teams coming up. MLS is... it started off as a young league. It's a good league. It's had some international talents come over. David Beckham, Kaká, some big names that you've known from Champions League and some of the bigger countries in Europe. And everyone knows Europe being a better place to play basketball. We've had some of those guys come over at the end of their career, and it's completely rocked the MLS. The LA Galaxy getting David Beckham completely changed their fortunes. Kaká coming to Orlando City, the entire city, when he got here, it blew up. Not as far as population, but soccer in the city blew up. We ended up getting a stadium. Fan base grew exponentially, and it was a very good situation when these European people, the greats, the legends, come over to the young upstart MLS and help give a kickstart. Now all we're waiting on is, a younger guy, someone still in his prime, to come over, leave Europe early and make the MLS home. I think that'll help give it another boost. But, it's a great game. There's great atmosphere. People want to go to those games, and I've been to a few myself, and I have to say it's a better sporting experience going to those games than even going to some NBA games, especially a regular season game. And you can tell just by the way the guys play. It's a little bit more intense. The supporter section in most stadiums is absolutely outrageous, and in the best possible way. You want to definitely get in that and get to a supporter section and sit in there, have your team scores, they shoot off the smoke, it comes flying, flares go off, people are just cheering and having a great time. So if you can catch an MLS game, I definitely recommend catching that, because I've got the MLS moving up into the second place as far as sport for America. People are going to turn to it, more kids are going to play it, there are going to be more fans in the MLS, so definitely have that going up. The last sport to talk about kind of in America is hockey. Hockey has its fan base, much like baseball. They have their diehard fans, much like every sport, though. It doesn't matter what happens in that sport; they're not gonna lose the hardcore fans that they have. The issue I'm having with football, with hockey, with baseball is the growth that they can continue to have. Them getting new and younger people still interested and still coming into the sport. Hockey is going to have its Canadians. It's going to have its Russians and its Northern European area. They love hockey. field hockey, indoor hockey, they love hockey. So you'll definitely have players, come to the NHL from other countries. But as far as it growing in America, I feel it's pretty halted. You'll have kids that will play. Of course, kids always play every sport, but even more so than football, even more so than baseball, hockey, I feel, is on its absolute last leg. I don't know how much longer it'll be around. To me, it seems like a very dangerous sport. It's football with all of those injuries, all of the head injuries, on skates, on ice, which makes it even more dangerous. So I don't understand the sport much. It's beautiful to see these giant people out there on little bitty skates being able to fly and, just look at the athleticism, the acrobatics that they do, hand-eye coordination. As far as athleticism goes, those are special athletes, and I respect it. Don't understand it. Those two don't always have to be mutually exclusive. So, hockey, if I had to rank them all, hockey is definitely going to be number 5 on the list of, the top-tier sports in America. Followed by baseball. I think it's going to end up being number 4. Football at number 3. The MLS is going to jump to number 2, and basketball, I feel, is going to be the top sport in America on TV, paying its players, kids wanting to play growing up, fan base. So, these are the top 5 sports in America, and where I eventually think that they'll end up at. And when it's all said and done, we may not have football, we may not have hockey. I don't think baseball is going anywhere. It doesn't have injuries. They still pay money. People still go to the games, even though they're trying to make it, not more fun, but a better experience for fans at the game and a better game for younger kids so they can continue to be involved and, continue in baseball. There's so many kids playing it where I don't think it's going to go somewhere, unlike football and hockey where, it's less and less and less kids. And it's such a drastic movement that's been happening since all this concussion stuff has come out that it does bother me. And I'm a little bit afraid that my second favorite sport in football is going to be gone soon. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, we'll be here to give you as many updates and talk you through and help everybody transition into the MLS and a little bit more basketball. But thank you for tuning in. Again, this is Robert Brown with myGSPN Sports Talk, and we'll see you later.